Okay, you are not going to believe this story. It's the true account of Nakahama Manjiro, and his life honestly reads more like a blockbuster adventure movie than a history lesson. It all starts with a shipwreck, but somehow it ends up changing the entire destiny of a nation.
And really, it all comes down to this one question. I mean, how is that even possible, right? How can one fisherman's really bad luck completely alter the path of a country? Well, as we're about to see, Manjiro's journey is just this incredible example of how one person, thrown around by fate, can end up grabbing the wheel of history.
So our story kicks off like a lot of epic adventures do, with a total disaster. Picture it. It's 1841, we're out in the Pacific Ocean, and what starts as just another fishing trip is about to turn into a nightmare.
So yeah, a huge storm just rolls in, completely wrecks their boat, and leaves them stranded. This is exactly what happened to Manjiro and his crew. They're just cast adrift at sea, and eventually they wash up on this tiny, deserted island with pretty much zero hope of ever being found.
And what just gets me every time is his age. He was only 14, not some seasoned, grizzled sailor, but a kid. You know, a boy suddenly forced to deal with this terrifying, unknown future. The amount of resilience that would take is, well, it's just mind-blowing. And we're not talking about a few days or a couple of weeks. No, they were stuck on this island, totally alone, just trying to stay alive for 6 straight months. An ordeal like that would break almost anyone. But for Manjiro, believe it or not, this was only the beginning of his unbelievable journey.
So right when it seems like all hope is gone, a ship shows up on the horizon. But this rescue? It wasn't just going to save his life. It was going to turn it completely upside down and send him down a path no one from his home country had ever walked before.
And here is where things get really interesting. The ship that found him was American. The captain, a man named William Whitfield, kind of took Manjiro under his wing and brought him all the way back to the United States. This made him, literally, the only Japanese person to live in America during his country's long period of total isolation.
And Manjiro, he was like a sponge. He didn't just hang around. He soaked up everything. He learned to speak English, he mastered these advanced navigation techniques, modern shipbuilding, stuff that was light years ahead of what they knew in Japan. And on top of that, he got a crash course in American culture and politics. He didn't realize it yet, but all this knowledge was about to become his superpower.
But even with this new life, Manjiro just couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to go home. And this desire, well, it created the central problem of his story. Trying to get back was going to be even more dangerous than the storm that started this whole mess.
Okay, to really grasp the kind of risk he was taking, you have to understand this policy. For more than 200 years, Japan was basically a locked box. You were forbidden to leave, and if you did and tried to come back, that was a crime punishable by death. Seriously, no exceptions.
And this quote really puts it in black and white. It wasn't just a risk of being thrown in jail. We're talking about a potential outright death sentence. Manjiro knew this. He knew that the very act of setting foot on home soil could be the last thing he ever did.
But that didn't stop him. In what sounds like another movie plot twist, he actually heads to California during the gold rush, becomes a prospector, and, get this, strikes it rich. He finds enough gold to pay for his own ship to get back home. Talk about sheer determination.
So when he finally returns, this is where the whole story takes a massive turn. The very thing that put his life on the line, his knowledge of the outside world, was about to become the most valuable thing he and his country had.
Just look at this timeline. It's wild. He gets back in 1851 and is immediately interrogated for months, but the officials pretty quickly realize, wait a minute, this guy who broke our #1 rule might be the most valuable person in the entire country. Just 2 years later, this fisherman's son is made a samurai. A few years after that, he's the official translator on Japan's very first diplomatic trip to the U.S.
And this moment from that 1860 mission just says it all. Their ship gets hammered by a massive storm. The Japanese crew, who'd never sailed the open ocean, are completely freaking out. But Manjiro, using the skills he learned as a teenager on that American whaling ship, just calmly takes charge and guides the ship through the storm to safety. It was the ultimate proof of how valuable he was.
So, when you put it all together, what does it all mean? Well, his life wasn't just some amazing adventure. He was a genuine force of change in the history of Japan itself. At this absolutely critical point in history, he became the human bridge that his country desperately needed.
He translated for diplomats, he advised the government, he taught a whole new generation of leaders at the school that would become the University of Tokyo. In the end, John Manjiro, the castaway fisherman, helped his entire nation navigate the incredibly choppy waters of modernization.
Manjiro's story is just such a powerful reminder that sometimes it's a single person who crosses these huge, treacherous oceans, both the real ones and the cultural ones, that can change everything. And it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Who are the unlikely translators and the bridge builders in our own interconnected world today?